Welcome back to the program, and we want to begin the bulletin tonight with a look at some headline stories in the world of business.
The European Union has added 12 countries to its money laundering blacklist, putting the financial transactions
For that, we'll surely bring you the summaries later. But the inflation rate for the month of April has jumped to 10.6% from 7.8% in March, the recent astronomical height in prices as a result of food items amid the COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with a 3-week partial lockdown. More details in the following report.
April 2020. CPI for April 2020 was 116.6 relative to 113.0 in the month of March 2020. This culminates in 3.2 month-on-month inflation, that is between March 2020 and April 2020. On a year-on-year basis, this translates into a 10.6 change in general price levels over the month of April 2019 and the month of April 2020.
Even before the latest inflation rate of 10.6%, a great communication firm, Isoko Ghana, had predicted a hike in food prices for the month of April and May. Despite this warning, the Greek ministry, in a press conference last month, maintained there was enough food at a cheaper rate.
Only 4 years ago, a bunch of plantain in Accra, you have to spend 40 Ghana cedis. Now 3, 4 cities, and I repeat, 3, 4, 5 cities, you can get a bunch of plantain.
With the current data from the Ghana Statistical Service, it is clear the 3-week partial lockdown and closure of the country's borders had contributed significantly to the surge in inflation rate for April. What this means is that a tuber of yam previously sold for 5 cedis in the month of March shot up to 8 cedis in April. This, the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobnainim, has been explaining.
This means that in the month of April 2020, the general price level was 10.6% higher than April 2019. We do the disaggregation based on source by sharing with you the food inflation and the non-food inflation. And food inflation for the month of April 2020 was 14.4 relative to 7.7 for non-food inflation.
Professor Nim also has this advice for the Ministry of Agric.
One of the things that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture can focus on is how to ensure that the supply for commodities such as cassava, okra, plantain, tomatoes are available at markets that we saw very high prices. So from this release, we've shared with you what is happening across the 44 markets that we pick prices from. So from a supply side, we expect that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture can help in that regard. The other perspective that we may want to look at as a country is to intensify the moral suasion bit of this discussion, because we need to speak to our market women to sort of have some be a bit more careful in taking advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in.
Fred Duho's report for Joy Business.
So we'll be discussing what this means for the economy later on JoyNews Prime when I come up with business. Moving on now, businesses are biting their fingers in despair as the impact of the coronavirus reap profits. This has led to unemployment cases leaving the private sector virtually on its knees. The development has got the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry talking, as its president, Nana Aboagye-Wiafe the first, has raised questions over the 600 million stimulus package from government to SMEs. He was speaking at the Chamber's first ever virtual conference in Accra. Charles Haiti has more in this report.
Close to 500 persons from the business community joined in this virtual conference organized by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. With millions of cedis being lost to the impact of COVID-19, President of the Chamber, Dr. Nana Aboagye-Wiafe I, lamented what he termed the woefully inadequate stimulus package for SMEs brought up by government.
The results show that, on average, the estimated financial cost of the pandemic on businesses differs and increases with firm sizes. Micro enterprise, that is around 22,500 Ghana cedis. small enterprises 50,000 Ghana cedis, medium enterprises 500,000 Ghana cedis, and large enterprise 600,000 Ghana cedis. It thus suggests that government stimulus package of 600 million to be shared among about 200,000 SMEs is woefully inadequate, average of 3,000 Ghana cedis, even for the micro enterprise, which is hovering around 22,500 Ghana cedis.
Economists world over are racing against time to prevent a possible recession. Here in Ghana, government is considering a recovery program to revive the economy. But economist Peter Quarty of the Institute of Statistical Service, ISA, warns that Ghana's economic bounce back will be based on a sustained support for SMEs.
It is prudent that government provides the stimulus package to steer the economy from severe recession. Yes, government has also responded with loans, reduction in electricity tariffs, and free water for 3 months. The effects of these interventions can be direct and indirect. Direct in the sense that if we get an NBSSI loan of 600 million, that would be.
With thousands of jobs on the line, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry wants a very rapid response from government in sustaining businesses in these times of COVID-19. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
In other news tonight, legitimate artisanal small and medium-scale mining is believed to contribute about 30,000 jobs nationwide. It's been 2 years since the ban on small-scale mining was lifted, and some miners say several reforms have occurred, but a lot more is needed to get rid of charlatans.
In January 2017, when small-scale mining was banned, one of the reasons was its impact on the environment, especially on water and the destruction of the vegetation. Well, in 2018 August, more than a year after the ban was lifted with new conditions. 900 small-scale miners were given the license to operate. I have come to OCM to find out exactly what the new regulations have been and whether people here are keeping or sticking to the new regulations. One of them is actually community mining, which has an impact on the people in the community benefiting directly from mining activities and, of course, being involved. So they have become the watchdogs. I am going out there to speak with people who own this concession and how the community mining works. The property is 10 concessions put together, made of 25 acres per concession. A geologist and a financial manager at site, this was usually not the norm on small-scale mines. These pits, which ideally will be covered this time, in the past would not have been. The Environmental Protection Agency then inspects and grants a certificate within 180 days before a new pit is dug. Water on the concession has been drawn from a nearby stream and cordoned off to prevent chemicals from seeping into river bodies. This was also a requirement from Water Resources. Having put all of these in place, the community has confidence Gold Axe will do responsible mining and has been selected for community mining here. Following the Mining Act 703, Section 81 to 99 to the teeth, the community has decided to be involved in making sure miners do not flout the law, especially those connected to river bodies and the environment.
First, I think the documentation, the control from the community level to the district level to the national level. Yeah, things are now regularized.
Specifically, what is regularized?
The license to mine, license to do exploration, it's regularized. You can't do it the other way, not as a business as usual. Okay, you must go through all the processes because the community is empowered, the district is empowered, and the nationals are empowered too.
When you travel between Kumasi and then Takwa using the Obuasi Road, prior to the ban, you see a lot of illegal mining activities by the roadside. But during the ban, those mining stopped. And it's evident. No, as we speak, we don't have incidents where you will see glaringly people mining along the roads and all that. Perhaps that is an attitude that has changed.
When illegal mining was rife, more than 200,000 young people were involved. World Bank data says close to 15% of them were women and 6% of the concessions were also for them. More than 30,000 people are employed legally in artisanal and small-scale mines. Gold Axe is expecting to help the people of Jampomani in the Fantiakwa South District lift the youth unemployment, but will need further investment.
10 concessions. Now, the community mining.
Community mining creates so many job opportunities for us, and so to develop the community and the country at large, we support the mining activities here. For now, there's a total of 10 concessions.
Nti obi bia obeba se ope concession no me na beba bisimi so nti bisimi so na me do company for je otumi bia ma be asase ni bia ma.
I am the youth leader in this community and I assist interested parties with intentions to mine in my community. I first ensure that all the concessions are endorsed by the Minerals Commission. The mining really helps us, particularly the youth.
The genesis of community mining is job creation, just to let them mine, but in the right way, so that they will not disturb the vegetation. So, with we want to go into the last scale.
The Association of Artisanal, Small and Medium-Scale Miners admits a lot has changed, but fears illegal mining is far from over. Kofi Renchi adds, while the small-scale legal mining has resumed, more than 40% of their members whose licenses were given back to them cannot go back to do business.
With the last time we checked, we had less than 40% of the licensed miners operating. Though the good news is that Minerals Commission, it's also licensing new areas and all that. Perhaps we're going to have a bottleneck of people who want to go through vetting because of I said that the vetting process has stalled. And then again, the ban on importation of earth-moving equipment, excavators and coal really is affecting our operations because not everybody had their equipment in-house.
Government statistician Professor Kwabena Yenim has hinted that virtual training is currently ongoing for officials towards the 2020 census. According to him, Ghanaians should get ready to be counted. He made the statement when he addressed the press today.
Pursuing the needed preparatory activities to ensure that we do not lose out of the decennial conduct of the 2020 population housing census. We are of the view that with the 28th June 2020 that we set for the census, because of the current restrictions on a ban on public gatherings, including workshops and conferences, we will not be able to proceed as scheduled. But we've gone ahead to adapt virtual procedures by which we are currently training our master trainers, and plans are underway that we're going to cascade the training to the lower levels. So we're going to do virtual training for our regional trainers, our district trainers, and eventually the enumerators and the supervisors. So our preparatory activities are on course. We are currently done with the field work for delineating the country into about 52,000 enumeration areas. We are currently gathering geometry indices, accessibility indices, and building structure indices to help us have a good sense of the number of people that we need to put in each enumeration area. So in terms of preparatory activities, the only challenge that we are facing now is the effect that the face-to-face training would have brought to the fore. But having said that, we are hoping that once COVID-19 eases off by the 31st May, as the President has indicated, and even if there's a slight extension to it, it wouldn't alter the decision to have the census in the year 2020. So we send this message across to Ghanaians to hold themselves in preparedness, give us the necessary cooperations while we deploy different strategies to ensure that Ghana would not miss out of the decennial conduct of a population and housing census. The other issue that we want to bring to Ghanaians is the fact that it's come to the notice of Ghana Statistical Service that some fraudsters are demanding monies from unsuspecting applicants who would want to work with Ghana Statistical Service in different capacities to ensure that we cover the whole country and cover it well in terms of quality data. And some information is on the social media that we have engaged some individuals using mobile money accounts to collect money from prospective, unsuspecting applicants, indicating that they can offer them a job on the census or give them a place of their choice.
Welcome back, and time now to hear the voices of the crisis. With schools temporarily closed, it means most bookbinders are out of business and hundreds of workers risk losing their jobs. As we continue to take stock of how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected businesses, Joy Business takes you to one of the popular hubs for bookbinders in Accra, where work is at a standstill.
Aboagye, a suburb of Accra. On a normal day, this part of town bustles with activity. It's one of the major hubs for bookbinders. We have come to meet Nana Kweku Ntibwe. He is chairman of the Bookbinders Association. He has been in the business for about 30 years, since the 80s.
Those times was the best times. White man would say the good old days. From 85, where I started mine, we were about 5, and then now we can boast of about 2,000 people as we speak now.
Every street has a bookbinding factory, and chances are that every home you see belongs to a factory owner or a worker.
Before this COVID-19 will hit us, we do the production. We have orders from the schools and then from the open market as well. Some supply Kumasi as far as Tamale, and some to supply. The major ones supply at Okanshin, where we have the major stores that takes our books, and then Kofodia. Let's across the country, the length and breadth of the country. We do supply everywhere.
But COVID-19 has changed everything.
Then I come on, almost with me, I buy so masne.
Various factory owners are in a meeting today to discuss the way forward, weeks after the president closed down schools temporarily to curb the spread of the virus.
We work hand in hand with GES. So any measure that GES will take, it goes against production of books, notebooks, and all that entails to a school, to give it to a school, it definitely affects them. So now that the COVID-19 has come to stay for some few months that we are fighting, battling it out, it has let the business go down because we can't manufacture.
The pandemic came at a very bad time, Nana Kweku tells me. The month of May is usually when production is at its peak. Now there's nothing to do, nobody to produce for.
If you manufacture now, why are you going to sell it? Before this thing happened, we have already done a lot of books to the market where we haven't gotten our money. So even to raise capital to buy material to start business now is a big problem for us now. That's what we are thinking of. How to even get money to start the business when this epidemic is over. Even where to get the money to start afresh is the problem. Because when you go to the market, they will tell you haven't sold your books. So you can't even go. If you go for them, what are you going to do with it? So definitely it means you have to get new money to start another production. So as we speak, the effect is very huge.
Most of the factories have been shut for weeks and equipment already gathering dust. Besides the huge investments they've made in equipment, their other headache is to pay hundreds of workers they have employed.
They are the boys we normally work with every year. So we save money to keep them going. Because this thing is, let's say, by a month or two, it will be over. So assuming you don't pay them, and then you let them go. When it's over, who is going to help you? So we don't pay them fully, but at least we give them something to keep them also going, because they know what is going on now. We are not manufacturing, we are not selling, but at least we have to help ourselves. We meet ourselves halfway. So that's what we have been doing. We have been helping them halfway, just to keep them going till the pandemic is over. So for now, we don't pay full salary to them. We are meeting them halfway, just for them to survive.
For how long this can be sustained, Nana Kweku can't tell. What is obvious, they need support to survive this period.
We've heard that they brought in some measures that they are going to help the small-scale industries. I heard it on a radio and then on a TV, and they are yet to launch it. So that's what we are also praying that will be factored into it, that if there's any helping hand, they should also turn back and see those who work with the schools, because other factories are, since the lockdown has been lifted, other factories are working. But since we work with the school direct, we cannot work because schools are not open. So when you do the books, where are you going to sell it? So if financial support will come, we are begging the government to also put us into consideration and see how we are going to be able to stand on our feet again, because now we are down.
Yes, we deserve. Because imagine saying 80% off.
Now though, with nothing much to do, the bookbinders are meeting to strategize the way forward.
The whole thing is a nightmare, I must be honest, a nightmare. So we are pleading to the government that you come into our aid. When this small-scale loan is being introduced, they should also turn back to us and help us more, at least to cushion us, so we can stand on our feet. If nothing comes at all, it will be very difficult for us to work. Because I can tell you for a fact, somebody capital is 1,000 Ghana, somebody has 2,000 Ghana. The person has been in the house for 2 months now. You can imagine what has become of that money. It's gone. So you need something to start again. So it's like we are really down.
Down as long as the schools are closed.
Certainly the voice of the crisis, and that will be all for the program this evening with me, Sandra Esinam Apeno. But I'm back on the Joy News Prime with more business news, and specifically we'll be looking at the new inflation figures and what this means for the economy. That's all for now. You can log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. Thanks for watching.